Hello guys! Welcome to Sissygram Genderbender Stories on YouTube. Today, I am bringing you a brand new genderbender story. If you like my voice, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates. Now, let's start the story. Alex woke up to the sound of his alarm clock blaring, pulling him out of a restless sleep. He groaned, mentally bracing himself for another day of pretending to fit into a life that felt wrong. Dragging himself out of bed, he avoided looking at his reflection as he made his way to the bathroom, already dreading the familiar routine that awaited him. The hardest part was always confronting his image in the mirror, where his masculine features felt so out of place. He quickly brushed his teeth and splashed water on his face, trying to rush through it. Back in his room, Alex stared at his closet, filled with clothes that felt more like costumes than his actual wardrobe. His hand hovered over a blue button-down shirt for a moment before he opted for a baggy hoodie, something that could hide him more easily. Heading downstairs, the smells of coffee and bacon filled the air. His parents were already at the kitchen table, his father reading the newspaper, his mother cooking breakfast. "Morning, champ," his father greeted, not even looking up from his paper. The nickname made Alex flinch. "Morning," he muttered as he slid into his seat. His mother set a plate of food in front of him. "You're looking a little pale today, sweetie. Are you feeling okay?" she asked with concern. Alex just pushed the scrambled eggs around his plate, unable to explain that he wasn't sick. He just felt suffocated. His father folded the newspaper and mentioned they could go to the hardware store that weekend to build a workbench. Alex's stomach twisted at the thought. "Sounds great, Dad," he replied with a strained smile, the lie tasting bitter. All he wanted was to retreat to his room, where he could let himself dream of a different life as Alina, a life that felt freer and softer. "Actually," Alex began, surprising himself, "I don't think I can this weekend." "I have plans." His parents exchanged a curious glance. "Plans?" his mother asked, clearly puzzled. "Just some friends from school?" Alex said quickly. His father, eager to see him socializing more, nodded with exaggerated enthusiasm. "That's great, son. Good to see you getting out more." Guilt flooded Alex as he stood abruptly, nearly knocking his chair over. "I should go. Don't want to be late," he muttered, grabbing his backpack and heading out the door, ignoring his mother's calls about his uneaten breakfast. Once outside, he took a deep breath, trying to calm the turmoil inside him. The walk to school felt like a blur, his mind consumed with a whirlwind of anxious thoughts. He barely noticed when he arrived at the school gates, his body on autopilot as he navigated through the crowded hallways. Every step seemed like a struggle. When he reached his locker, fumbling with the combination, Maxim, a guy from his math class, greeted him. "Hey Alex, you going to the game on Friday?" Maxim asked cheerfully. Alex's throat went dry. I am not sure. I might be busy." Maxim clapped him on the shoulder, urging him to go. Alex felt his skin crawl at the touch, mumbling something non-committal before quickly grabbing his books and hurrying off. The rest of the day dragged on, each class a battle against the discomfort and anxiety that gnawed at him. At lunch, he retreated to the library, seeking solace in its quiet. He pulled out his phone, fingers hovering over a bookmarked page titled "Signs You Might Be Transgender." He had read it countless times before, each point resonating deeply, but fear always stopped him from taking the final step. The final bell rang, and Alex practically ran from the school. Desperate to be alone with his thoughts, he wandered through a nearby park, lost in a fog of what-ifs. A group of girls laughing together caught his eye, their long hair shining in the afternoon sun. For a moment, Alex imagined himself among them, feeling comfortable in his own skin. But when one of the girls noticed him staring, she whispered something to her friends, and they all giggled. Alex's heart sank, and he hurried away, cheeks burning with shame. AET home. He collapsed onto his bed, emotionally drained. He fought back tears, refusing to give in to the feeling of defeat. A soft knock at his door startled him. His mother entered, her face full of concern. "Honey, is everything okay? You've seemed a little off lately." Alex's heart raced. This was his chance to tell her the truth, to let the words spill out, but fear held him back. "I'm fine, Mom," he lied, forcing a smile. "Just stressed about school." She didn't seem convinced, but nodded. "You know you can talk to us about anything, right?" Alex nodded, forcing another smile, and his mother left the room. He buried his face in his pillow and let out a muffled scream of frustration. The next few days passed in a haze of anxiety and self-doubt. Alex went through the motions, avoiding his parents and brushing off his friends' concern. He spent every free moment researching transgender identity, trying to find the courage to make the change he desperately needed. Finally, on Friday evening, he couldn't take it anymore. His hands shook as he paced his room, trying to work up the courage. Taking a deep breath, he made his way downstairs to where his parents were in the living room. "Mom, Dad," Alex began, his voice trembling. "Can we talk?" They looked up, surprised by the seriousness in his tone. His father muted the TV. "Of course, son. What's on your mind?" Alex's legs felt weak as he sank into an armchair. He couldn't meet their eyes. Something important. His mother set aside her computer, giving him her full attention. "We're listening, sweetie," she said gently. Alex closed his eyes and took a shaky breath. I'm not who you think I am," he whispered. "I'm not your son." The silence in the room felt suffocating. His parents exchanged a confused look. "What do you mean?" his mother asked, her voice filled with concern. "I'm not a boy," Alice's voice cracked. "I think I am transgender. I am a girl." The words hung in the air, heavy and impossible to take back. He braced himself for the explosion of anger, for the rejection, but instead, his mother's face softened. "Oh, honey," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for telling us." Alex blinked, confused. "You're not mad." "We're just surprised." "This is a lot to take in," his mother gently asked. "How long have you known?" Alex, now Alina, felt tears welling up. "I think I've always known," she whispered. "I just didn't have the words for it until recently," her father nodded slowly. "And you're sure about this?" "Yes," Alina said, her voice stronger now. "I've never been more sure of anything." Her mother stood and crossed the room to wrap Alina in a tight hug. "We love you," she whispered fiercely. "No matter what, we just want you to be happy." Alina sobbed into her mother's shoulder, years of pent-up fear and pain pouring out. There was a long road ahead, but now she felt hope. Over the next few weeks, Alina's life was filled with appointments, research, and difficult conversations. Her parents, though sometimes overwhelmed, were supportive. They found a therapist specializing in gender identity and began exploring transition options. At school, the news spread quickly. Some friends distanced themselves, uncomfortable with the change, while others rallied around Alina, fiercely protective. The school administration was surprisingly accommodating, working with Alina and her parents to ensure a smooth transition. Alina started experimenting with her appearance, growing out her hair, and exploring more feminine clothing. Each small step felt like a revelation, bringing her closer to the person she truly was. But not everyone accepted her. Whispers followed her through the hallways. Cruel notes appeared in her locker, and one afternoon, a group of boys cornered her after class, taunting her with slurs and threats. Alina ran home that day, tears streaming down her face. She burst through the door and collapsed into her mother's arms, sobbing. "What happened?" her mother asked, alarmed. Alina told her the story between sobs. Her mother held her tightly, murmuring words of comfort. When Alina had calmed down, her mother pulled back, looked her in the eye, and said, "You are beautiful, and brave and perfect just the way you are. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. Alina nodded, wiping her eyes. It's just so hard sometimes. I know, baby, her mother said softly, but you're stronger than you know. And you're not alone in this fight. That night, as Alina lay in bed, she thought about her mother's words. She was tired of hiding, tired of being afraid. Maybe it was time to truly embrace who she was, no matter the consequences. The next morning, she woke up with a sense of purpose. She rifled through her closet, pulling out the floral dress she had been too nervous to wear before, paired it with some low heels, and applied makeup carefully. When she looked in the mirror, the reflection staring back at her was unmistakably female. She smiled, a radiant smile that lit up her face. Downstairs, her parents did a double take when they saw her, but quickly smiled with pride. "You look beautiful, sweetheart," her father said, his voice gruff with emotion. Alina beamed. "Thanks, Dad. I feel beautiful." The walk to school was nerve-wracking, but Alina held her head high. She could feel the eyes on her and hear the whispers, but she refused to let it shake her confidence. When she reached her locker, Maxim, the same guy who had invited her to the game weeks ago, did a double take, then smiled. "Wow, Alina," he exclaimed. "You look amazing." Alina felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "Thanks, Maxim. That means a lot." The day wasn't perfect. There were still stares, whispers, and some cruel comments, but for every negative reaction, there was a friend offering support, a teacher giving an encouraging smile, or a stranger showing kindness. By the time the final bell rang, Alina felt lighter than she had in years. She skipped out of the building, basking in the feeling of the sun on her face and the breeze playing with her hair. As she turned onto her street, lost in daydreams, she didn't notice the car speeding toward her. Everything happened in slow motion. The screech of tires, the driver's panicked face, the pain, and then darkness. Alina found herself floating in a sea of white light. Was this death? She felt no fear, only a profound sense of peace. A figure appeared before her, though it had no face. It felt somehow familiar. "Alina," it said, speaking directly to her mind. "Your time was not meant to end this way. A mistake has been made." Confusion swirled through Alina. "What do you mean?" "You were meant for great things," the figure continued. "Your journey of self-discovery and acceptance was meant to inspire others, to change hearts and minds. That purpose cannot be fulfilled if your life ends now." Alina felt a surge of emotion. "So what happens now?" "You will be given another chance," the figure said, "a reset of sorts. This time, things will be as they should have been from the start." Before Alina could ask more, the light intensified. She felt herself falling, spinning, changing, and then the alarm clock blared. Alina woke up, her body feeling different, lighter somehow. The room she was in was unfamiliar, but it felt comforting. Her walls were lavender, covered with pop star posters and motivational quotes. There was a vanity in the corner, cluttered with makeup and hair accessories. She stumbled to the mirror and gasped. The reflection staring back at her was unmistakably female, long hair cascading over her shoulders, a body she had only ever dreamed of. "This can't be real," Alina whispered, touching the mirror in disbelief. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. "Honey, are you up?" her mother called. "You don't want to be late for your first day of senior year?" Alina's head spun. Senior year. But she had just started junior year, and her mother was using her chosen name so casually. "I'll be right down," Alina called, her voice higher and softer than she was used to. Going on autopilot, Alina got ready, marveling at her new clothes, feminine styles she had always admired, but never dared to wear. She picked out a pretty sundress, pairing it with sandals and a denim jacket. Downstairs, her parents greeted her with warm smiles. No shock, no awkwardness. It felt normal. "Big day today, princess," her father said affectionately, ruffling her hair. "Are you nervous about cheerleading trites?" "Cheerleading?" she smiled, playing along. "A little, but I've been practicing all summer," her mother nodded encouragingly. "You'll do great, sweetie. Just remember to smile and have fun." As Lena walked to school, trying to piece together what had happened, she realized that she didn't have her license in this reality. The school felt the same, but everything else was completely different. People greeted her by name without hesitation, and she found herself surrounded by a group of girlfriends, chatting excitedly about the upcoming year. Her friend Emily waved her hand in front of Alina's face, asking if she was okay. Alina snapped out of her thoughts. "Sorry, just first day, jitters." "Don't worry about tryouts," Emily reassured her. "Coach would be crazy not to put you on the squad." The day passed in a blur. Alina struggled to keep up with conversations, realizing she didn't remember much of this life, but muscle memory kicked in, and she knew her locker combination, recognized her teachers, and even remembered inside jokes with her friends. When the final bell rang, Alina headed to the gym for cheerleading trites, her stomach swirling with a mix of excitement and terror. To her surprise, the routines came naturally. Her body moved with a grace and confidence she had never experienced before. After the tryout, the coach beamed at her. "Excellent work, as always, Alina," she said. "I'll post the final roster tomorrow, but I think you know where you'll be." Alina floated home on cloud 9. This new reality was beyond her wildest dreams. She had supportive parents, great friends, and a body that finally felt like hers. But as she lay in bed that night, doubts crept in. Was this real? How long would it last? What about her old life? The struggles, the pain, the victories. Did none of that matter anymore? Just as she was about to give up on sleep, a warm, comforting presence filled the room. The same familiar voice spoke in her mind. "Your concerns are natural, Alina," the voice said. "But know this, your experiences, your growth, your strength, they are all still part of you. This gift doesn't erase who you were. It simply allows you to be who you truly are, without the barriers and pain you once faced." Tears filled Alina's eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. The presence faded, leaving behind a sense of peace. Alina drifted off to sleep, finally at ease in her own skin. The next morning, Alina woke to an uncomfortable sensation in her lower abdomen. Her period had started. It was a strange mix of discomfort and exhilaration, another reminder that her body was truly female. At breakfast, her mother handed her painkillers and a heating pad without a word. The normalcy of it all nearly brought Alina to tears. At school, the cheerleading roster was posted, and as expected, Alina made the squad. Her friends celebrated, their joy infectious. During lunch, she noticed Maxim watching her from across the cafeteria. When their eyes met, he smiled shyly, and she felt her own face flush. That afternoon, as Alina left cheer practice, she ran into the same group of girls she had envied just a few weeks ago. They noticed her new confidence, her radiant smile, and immediately invited her to join them for a shopping trip that weekend. Alina knew that everything had changed, and the path ahead was full of possibilities. And for the first time, she truly felt at home in her own life. This is where the story ends. I spend hours of effort creating these kinds of stories, so if you're new to this channel, please hit the like button and subscribe my Sissygram Genderbender Stories YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to comment on what you would do if you were in his place. I'm eagerly waiting for your comments, and I personally read all of them. Okay, guys, thanks for joining. And I'll see you in the next story in the next video. Take care and bye.